What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we're going to be looking at all of the Special Ops calling cards as well as how to earn them in Infinite Warfare. For those of you guys that aren't aware, this is the same idea as the Dark Ops challenges in Black Ops 3. These are challenges that aren't displayed, you can't see what the challenges are until you actually complete them. But after watching this video today, you'll know what each of them are and how to do them. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so starting this off, I'm going to be giving a huge shout out to a YouTube channel, which I don't normally do, because if you give a shout out to somebody, you're putting your name behind them, you're vouching for them, and if they don't meet the expectations, that can kind of fall back on you. But with this YouTuber, I have absolutely no reservations whatsoever with giving him a shout out, and this YouTuber is Tabor Hill. He makes, without a doubt, the highest quality challenge help videos on YouTube. So if you're a completionist, if you like going for calling cards or for challenges, I highly recommend subscribing to him. He has very detailed challenge help videos that are extremely high quality, and I know a bunch of my viewers already know about him, but if you don't, I highly recommend at least checking him out. So I'm going to be basically skimming over these Special Ops challenges, telling you what they are, how to earn them, and maybe sharing like a little tip if I have some insight on it. But Tabor Hill does very detailed guides on each one of these individually. So if you're struggling with any of these, make sure you go check out his guide for the Special Ops challenge, and I'm sure it will help you significantly. So first up, let's kick it off with Faze Hunter. Faze Hunter is one that I actually have achieved, which I'm pretty proud of. And with this one, what you have to do is follow another FTL into phase shift and then kill them when you're in that different dimension. So for those of you guys that aren't aware, FTL's phase shift payload, when you activate it, you enter a different dimension. You're still on the map, but you're in a different dimension, and therefore you can't see or shoot enemies, and they can't see or shoot you. You can actually still hear them while you're doing this, but you can't see or shoot them. Now the thing with this is when you're in that other dimension, if someone else phase shifts as well, they enter the same dimension as you and you can fight it out within that dimension. So my tip for this one, and it's actually pretty straightforward, it's a lot easier than a lot of people think. As soon as you see an enemy using phase shift on the other team, make sure you switch over to phase shift yourself because you can do this in the middle of the game, and then just save it once you have it charged up. And the moment you see him activate phase shift again, activate your phase shift and kill him. Most of the time you're going to take him completely off guard because most people, when they phase shift, they think they're completely safe because they're in a different dimension, and it's usually just a free kill for you. You just have to get your timing right. Moving on to the next one, we have Warchief, and this one requires you to melee an enemy without killing them, then survive for a minute. This one is a pretty straightforward challenge, you just have to actively go towards it. I would highly recommend using something like phase shift. Basically, in a team-based game mode, I wouldn't really recommend this in any other one. Make sure you have Ghost on your class so they can't find you. Hit them with the butt of your gun in the front of the body. Don't hit them from behind or else it'll be a one-hit kill. Just melee them with the butt of your gun, activate phase shift immediately after that, and then just run away and go and hide in the corner of the map. Ghost will keep you off the radar, and you just have to chill for a minute, basically. Next up, we have Plague, and for a lot of you guys, you probably already have this, even if you didn't know that you had it. All you have to do is melee somebody that has this calling card. So if you don't have it, hop into a game of Infected, get yourself infected right up front, go around knifing people, or just go into a regular public match and go knife only, and you'll have that Plague calling card in no time. Moving on to the next one, this one's called Epic Run, and it requires you to get 2 kills with 1 bullet while wall running. Now, I don't have too much information on this one. I don't know if shotguns will count for this. I know it says 1 bullet, but a lot of times you'll still get that collateral metal with a shotgun, even though it's technically several pellets that are hitting both enemies. I think it will also count towards this, but I could be mistaken on that. Either way, if you're struggling with this, make sure you stick around Tabor Hill's channel. I'm sure he'll be covering this eventually. Same thing goes for the next one, which is Epic Slide, which requires you to get 2 kills with 1 bullet while power sliding. This one, obviously, you're going to want the FTL power slide trait. And hardcore mode is going to be your friend, and once again, I don't have confirmation on this, but I believe shotguns might end up working for this. So just do a power slide in hardcore and try to line up 2 enemies and you might get this calling card completed. Moving on to the next one, we have Bounce House, and this one looks a little bit on the difficult side. I haven't done this one yet. It requires you to get 2 headshot kills in a row with ricochet. So you have to use a laser weapon and you have to bounce your shot off of a wall and get 2 headshot kills in a row while doing this. Again, hardcore is going to be the way to go for this one, but I don't really have too many other tips for you right now. It seems like it would be quite a difficult challenge to accomplish. Next up, we have Triple Slide Stop. This one requires you to get 3 kills in a row using the last bullet in your clip. Now this one's actually not so bad to do. I highly recommend going into Infected for this one. and use the SPAS 12, unload all of the rounds except for one, and then you just go around, you get one kill, only reload one shell, and then you get another kill, and with Infected, it becomes a lot easier. Now, of course, you don't want to get knifed, and you don't want to get throwing knifed either, so you still have to be a little bit careful, but I find it's much easier than going into a public match. One alternative to this is going into a public match with a sniper rifle, a one-shot kill sniper rifle like the KBS longbow. Unload all of your shots. I'd highly recommend suppressor if you're doing this, just so they don't find you. Unload all of your shots except for one, and then just pick a guy off, and then do the same thing again after you reload, and you can do that over and over again. But I highly recommend the Infected strategy. It was the easiest way for me to do this one. Moving on to the next one, this one is how the question mark. I don't know how to say it without sounding really weird besides just saying it's how the question mark, okay? Alright, and this one requires you to kill an enemy by triggering an explosive with another explosive. This one's actually pretty straightforward. Pop a C4 down on a flag or near an objective or in a choke point, just somewhere where you know an enemy's going to be coming. Have a grenade launcher out with your OSA, or you can use a launcher as well, a secondary launcher, and you just shoot the C4 with your launcher when an enemy gets close, and boom, challenge completed. Very, very simple. Next up, we have Chimp Warfare, and this one requires you to damage an enemy with 4 different weapons without killing them. Now, I don't have all the details on this. I don't know if it has to be one specific enemy. I don't know if this has to all be done in one life. I don't know all the details on this. So I can't really give too much advice on this one. Again, stick around to Tabor Hill's channel. I'm sure he'll be covering this in the future. Moving on to the next one, this one's called Chrome Dome, and this requires you to save yourself as well as 2 teammates from a Trinity rocket using the Dome Shield. This one is going to be a relatively random thing because it requires your enemies to use a Trinity rocket, or it requires you to give them drone packages until they get a Trinity rocket, and then it also requires your teammates to be coordinated enough to all come into this bubble shield. Oftentimes it'll work if you're trying to capture a flag. And then you have to have Dome Shield on your class so that you can try and save your teammates. So this would work best if you have a coordinated group of players that are throwing drone packages to the enemy team in something like Domination. Once you guys get a Trinity rocket, let the enemy players take that Trinity rocket, then make sure you guys huddle up and wait till they call that Trinity rocket in, throw down your Dome Shield, and everybody take cover under it. You'll eventually get this done. If you don't have a coordinated team, I would say just play Domination, and always keep Dome Shield on your class, and eventually a situation might arise where an enemy calls in a Trinity while you and your teammates are capturing a flag, and you can throw it down and hopefully save your random teammates and yourself. Moving on to the next one, this one is one of my favorite calling cards in the game. I will definitely be running this a lot, and it kind of reminds me of Ghost, because it was practically the same challenge that we had in Ghost. This one's called No Idea What I'm Doing. And you'll see it's a dog in a spacesuit and he's like floating around. It just looks pretty epic. I really like this one. And this one's pretty straightforward. It requires you to kill 100 enemies using the Hailstorm, which is the 3-round burst pistol, with an optic, akimbo, and quick draw attached. So the whole idea behind you don't know what you're doing is you're using an optic as well as quick draw while you're also using akimbo. And that whole combination just doesn't make any sense because you can't aim down sight while you're using an akimbo, and therefore quick draw and the sight are doing nothing for you. So this one is just really straightforward. It's just a bit of a grind. You have to first off grind the gun until you unlock the attachments, then you just pop all the attachments on, and you just play the game and get your kills. Moving on to the final Spec Ops challenge before our Spec Ops Master Calling card, we have the Nuclear. And this one requires you to earn a Deatomizer Strike. So it doesn't work unless you have the nuke perk on your gun, or unless you're playing Infected. So if you're somebody that's a really confident player, you've dropped nukes in the past, like you can go on really long streaks, then you can just play whatever game mode you're comfortable with, make sure you're using one of those guns that has a nuke weapon perk attached, and get a 25 kill streak with that gun, and you'll get a Deatomizer Strike. In the future, I will be doing more detailed tips on how to earn Deatomizer Strikes more effectively, but as it is right now, you're kind of on your own. Just play it smart, play it safe, and try to get that 25 kill streak while you have a nuclear perk on your gun. For those of you guys that aren't so confident with that, Infected is definitely going to be the way to go for this streak. With Infected, as long as you aren't one of the Infected players, getting kills with your shotgun and your pistol all contribute to a Deatomizer Strike. So just make sure you're using that pistol at those medium to longer ranges against the Infected, and use the shotgun up close, and just practice, practice, practice. It does take a little bit of practice to get used to the game mode, but once you do, you'll eventually be able to drop that nuke. Now once you get every single one of those Spec Ops calling cards, you will unlock the Spec Ops Master Calling card, which I'm honestly a little bit disappointed in. I don't think it really looks that special, and I hope they change it in the future. I was expecting this to be like the most spectacular calling card in the game by far. Something where it just pops out and everybody notices it when they see it. And it really isn't the case with this calling card. It's nothing too special in its current state. Having said that, if you're a completionist, you'll definitely want to get this calling card. So that's going to wrap it up for today's video. Again, if you haven't checked out Tabor Hill's channel yet, I highly recommend it. Link will be in the description below. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys next time.